Because you have the positive claim.
My reason, all claims are positive.
You unlock this door with the key
To retardation.
Beyond it is another dimension. You're moving into a land of
Bullshittery.
You've just crossed over into
the numpty zone.
My reasoning is, so saying the Earth isn't a globe, that's a positive claim.
That's why I don't think you guys fully understand what you're talking about when you say the black swan disproves the globe Earth. Because even if it did prove something, all it does is prove that the R value that we use to make our calculations is incorrect.
At best, what you have done, if that was all correct, at best, you would have disproved the radius of the Earth.
And we're off. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. How are you boppers out there today? Take it easy on the soundboard today. I didn't even bring it up. I'll focus a little bit more on the substance of what's about to go down. And to watch Asshat O'Clowner go supernova on us. You'll see that they're coming up at the end. Shouldn't surprise any of you with the fiasco evolution fairy tale. But we're gonna pay a little closer attention. And I'm gonna pay a little closer attention and not have to look at that soundboard and reach over there and do all that stuff, man. Just takes away from my focus. And pay a little closer attention to what these numpties are saying. This particular numpty, but we have some other numpties that are not directly saying things. They're in text. That you'll see it. I'll have to point them out. It pains me to do it, but they're part of this treatment since he's doing evaluation on them, and that's Answers in Genesis. I really don't want to do it, but they're going to force my hand. But they need to be corrected into propagating this fairy tale too. They're like your average skank and foul idiot Joe Coffey when they should be leading the way. But nope, they're helping enable these idiots with their, they're not even arguments. I'm not going to give it away. You're going to hear them. These are 12 arguments that AIG put out for evolutionists not to use. So they're talking to evolutionists and telling them not to use these 12 arguments. We're not going to go through all 12. I don't need to. Could only do 1 or 2, and it would have been a fiasco right there. But I'll go through 4 before he goes supernova. No swearing. I don't know if I could go that far. Sensual goat. Now, give me a break, all right? I mean, we're getting into some really, really delusional Dunning-Kruger stupidness, man. I can't hold myself to that standard. All right, let me make sure everything's good to go. I should have done that beforehand, you say. Well, maybe you're right. It'll only be a few seconds. This isn't going to be a particularly long show. I don't anticipate that. I didn't time it or anything. I know I've said that before and we've gone 5 hours, but it's not going to be 5 hours. It's not going to be 3 hours. Hopefully. Sure, I got all my ducks in a row. All my I's are crossed and T's are dotted. And I already found one where the T is not dotted. All right. Now that T's dotted, you get out of there. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. My wife was saying, didn't you already start your show? I said, no, it starts at 4. She said, heard you talking back here. I said, I do talk to myself. I do have an inner voice. And sometimes I'll just speak out loud. Yeah, you'll have that. We all have our crosses to bear, don't we? I found it particularly funny because I just walked out there about 10 minutes ago to get some water, and I said, hey, the show's going to start up. She goes, I thought you already started. Yeah, too funny. She completes me. Here. Ah! Get back to him. All right, you guys, police yourselves out there. You know the rules. There are no rules. Let's start off here. I wrote this up some time ago. I would say about 6 years ago. Betty and I had a good laugh at it because Betty was around when... well, parts of this are way older. They're like 15 years old. But the opening salvo, it was... Betty and I were just, messing around one day. And I said, you know what? I have about enough of these friggin' evotards, so let me come up with something like an opening statement. Thought I'd share that with you today. The ending is, like I said, is very old, but you'll get the picture. To the evotards, you'll have to forgive me, but apparently it's the acme of foolishness, attempting to ascertain simple, self-evident truths from evotard window lickers that have adopted and accepted a complete worldview based entirely on a senile get biology philosopher's take on honey creeper beaks. When it boils down to, this is what we got, if you can believe it. It's a train wreck. So that we may limit confusion, can any evotard window licker please answer these simple questions? I've been asking these questions for about 15 years to evotards. And I find them quite reasonable. And any outside-looking eyes and ears will say, yeah, those are quite reasonable questions. What's the problem? And these are the questions. Evolution. What in the flying Fukuyama is that? Number 1, define evolution. 2, post the scientific theory of evolution. 3, post just 2 formal scientific hypotheses, then experiments that concretized it into a real scientific theory. Highlight the independent and dependent variables used in each test, then post the null hypotheses that were rejected or falsified for each. Quite reasonable questions. I mean, I've been told for over a decade that the theory of evolution is the most validated scientific theory in the history of all of science. So, what's the problem here? Why can't anyone answer these questions? I'm not saying that they can't answer. They cannot answer them. I have not received, in over 15 friggin' years, I have never received a single coherent response. Why is that? Now, for this one, I have somewhat coherent. It's basically revolving around change. Well, that's great. I really appreciate that. It's very poignant, highly detailed, something I could sink my teeth into, right? So I let him go with that because it's a train wreck after that. B, C, D, and E, nothing. Nothing. Not even, this includes multiple PhDs. I'm talking evolutionary biologists, cellular biologists, molecular biologists, and microbiologists. We're in the mid-hundreds of how many times that I've queried these professionals with these questions. They're right out the gate. And it's not like, over the years, and most of these people were in forums, they'd be, rinse and repeat. I mean, I wouldn't just bounce in a forum and say, start answering, asking these questions. They knew them. Now, your average skank and foul evotard, they're not going to do anything with this. But I figured after a while, I just stopped asking them, right? Because they could barely tie their shoes without a fleet of slobber nurses. But you'd figure the professionals, the ones down here, I've run into, like I said, a lot of them. They couldn't answer these. They started calling me names, if you can believe it. Now, if that's not a tell, like in Deuce 7 offsuit, then I don't know what is, because these are reasonable questions. If you're a fairy tale evolution proponent, these should just run off the tongue, right? Maybe not the formal scientific hypothesis, but you could get them. Right? It wouldn't be too hard. You could take a 5-minute break and let your wiki Google fingers go ahead and pull up, a couple of experiments for the most valid scientific theory in the history of science. You'd figure this would be easy. Just go ahead and do it. Nope. Why is that? Let me tell you why that is. Because you see this right here? The scientific theory of evolution? That has never existed. Yeah. It has never and never will exist. It's not there. That's why they can't answer B through E. They can fumble, bumble, and stumble around the definition of evolution, the vague definition, but they're not getting to B, C, D, and E. Why? It's very simple. It doesn't exist. So if you ever run into a fairy tale evotard, I don't care who they are. Like I said, they're not going to be any higher than these guys down here. We're not going to get any higher, right? You can pin them up against the wall, and they will never recover. This is the public service announcement. That's all that needs to be done. Now, what they typically do, and I've spoken about this on many occasions, and you can watch any evotard debate or evolution presentation. Just bring it up. They will immediately start into the proofsies for evolution without defining it. Why do they do that? Number one, because like I said, they can't, because the scientific theory of evolution doesn't exist. So they can't do it. And by providing evidences first for something that's ill-defined or non-defined, then any evidence they bring to the table can be evidence for the thing they haven't defined. You see the trick? Yeah, that's a little numpty second-grade retard trick. Yeah. So, like I said, this is a public service announcement. I've left this up here for some time, just in case anyone wants to, copy, take a screenshot and copy it. Right? There you go. That's my gift to you. So you don't have to be a biochemist. You don't have to have any history in biology. You just have to know what an actual scientific theory is. You don't have to know anything about evolution, whatever the hell that is. You don't have to know anything about it. You just got to know these questions, and that's it. Have a little bit of background in natural science and the scientific method. They're toast. I don't care who they are. They're finished. Simple as that. Alrighty then. Ah! Yeah, we got the asshat O'Clowner again. I mean, Like I said, he's going to go supernova. Now, he's going to have some train wreck of epic dumpster fire disasters up until the supernova. We're going to get right into them right quick. But you'll know when the supernova arrives. He just can't help himself. Right? Because he's a pretender clown. Numpty dipshit. And you're not going to believe the train wreck of a disaster that he falls into. Why? Why? Because he's a pretender clown fraud. All he is. And you're going to get it in spades. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Alex, and as I'm sure you're
Shut the fuck up.
aware by now, if you've been following this channel for any length of time, I'm a pretty strong proponent for the theory of evolution by natural selection.
He's a pretty strong proponent, folks, for the theory of evolution by natural selection. We got some big problems here, Alex. What the hell is the theory of evolution? You see what I mean, folks? What the hell is that? By natural selection? Are you kidding me? We going to have to go through this again? I guess we're going to have to. So, like I said, so what is the scientific theory of evolution there, Alex Asshat O'Clowner? And natural selection? Huh? Natural selection is a conjured fallacious concept. It's non-physical and immaterial. Before I go on, and I think I've stopped here before, you know, you're an atheist, evotard. Atheists can't believe in anything other than matter or energy. And you're stating natural selection? There is no matter or energy in natural selection, and you're using that as your mechanism. You're using a concept as a mechanism. I mean, this has got to be one of the greatest goofs of all time. Right out the gate, you're screwed. You're already in a paradox. But I digress. Where's the fun in that stopping there? Like I said, there's no matter, there's no chemical formula or structure, charge, momentum, spinner, location for natural selection. And it contains no energy. Milli electron volts, kcals, or kilojoules. I know this is profound, but non-physical concepts can't manipulate the physical. I know it's profound. Next block of instruction, Asshat O'Clowner. How to sit down, then point at a friggin' horse. It's tantamount to claiming that the transition between classical and romantic eras, concepts themselves, or that's a concept, wrote Beethoven's Ninth, or freedom, that's a concept, developed the battle plans for the Revolutionary War. Can you show us a picture of natural selection, asshat? How about its location? Here's the silver dagger right in the heart of natural selection. This makes it a belly lapper. Natural selection is a textbook reification fallacy. It's called hypostatization. Shout out to Nathan. From IEP.edu. Ladies and gentlemen, this site is peer-reviewed. It's a peer-reviewed fallacious reasoning site that identifies logical fallacies. The error of inappropriately treating an abstract term as if it were a concrete one, also known as the fallacy of misplaced concreteness and the fallacy of reification. Their example, nature decides which organisms live and which die. And follow it up with the killer. Nature isn't capable of making decisions. Kablooey? You guys are clowns. You're delusional clowns. Selection denotes choice constraints, which equals decisions. So you've got nature, an inanimate concept, choosing and selecting. I mean, it's a nightmare, isn't it? Logically speaking. This is going to be fun. Now, in these presentations, you're going to notice I got some hard, pipe-hitting, evotard pseudoscientists. I don't play any games. So keep that in mind. This is from William Provine. The Origin of Theoretical Population Genetics. Oh my God. What in the world? I ain't even going to deal with that. He's from Cornell University. He's an evolutionary biology professor. He states, natural selection does not act on anything, nor does it select for or against, force, maximize, create, modify, shape, operate, drive, favor, maintain, push, or adjust. Natural selection does nothing. Having natural selection select is nifty. Look, even the grammar catches it. I digress. Having natural selection select is nifty because it excuses the necessity of talking about the actual causation of natural selection, which is batshit insane. Such talk was excusable for Charlie Darwin, but inexcusable for evolutionists now, whatever that is. Creationists have discovered our empty natural selection language, and the actions of natural selection make huge, vulnerable targets. Love that, William. That is, you, asshat, is the huge, vulnerable target, and I'm firing for effect, sunshine. How you like me now? It gets better. From Shermer, The Woodstock of Evolution, from Scientific American back in 2005. Natural selection does not shape an adaptation or cause a gene to spread over a population or really do anything at all. It is instead the result of specific causes. Hereditary changes, developmental causes, ecological causes, and demography. Natural selection is the result of these causes, not a cause that is by itself. It is not a mechanism. So when you say fairy tale evolution, whatever that is, by means of natural selection, that by means is the mechanism for your fairy tale evolution. It ain't. Now, I don't know which one's better, these last two of my favorites. I'm fighting between the two. I'll let you decide. Notice, before I begin, notice the dates again. Over these past few treatments, I've been back in the 70s. This all was debunked in the 70s. I don't know how you can debunk anything that hasn't been defined. But it was their own priests that debunked it. Their own evolutionary biologists. And like I said, these are some hard pipe-hitting evotards. Pierre Grasset, I'm going to show you in a minute, he's not your everyday average evotard. Let's see what he has to say. Moreover, during phylogenetic organogenesis, natural selection must be capable of foresight. You think? Isn't choosing its priming or prime function? Yeah. But the choice cannot take place without predicting the future role of the incipient organ. Without such prescience, the coordination of successive states is incomprehensible. Did Darwin take this into consideration? No, P-Dog. What he did was pull it right out his ass and then hand it to the delusional Dunning-Kruger idiots to parade around as some sort of trophy. That's what's happened. Oh, by the way, if you have anything against Pierre Grasset, let me settle your nerves right now. Theodosius Dobzhansky, one of the fathers, if not the father of 20th century evolution theory. If you're gonna put people up there, it's Theodosius Dobzhansky, Richard Lewontin, and Ernst Mayr. You're not getting any higher or any better than pseudoscience evotard priests than that. And they're all going to make their appearances here. But I digress. What does he have to say about Grassi? Now, one can disagree with Grassi, but not ignore him. He is the most distinguished of French zoologists, the editor of the 28 volumes of the Traité de Zoologie. Yeah, I tore that up. Sorry. Author of numerous original investigations and ex-president of the Académie des Sciences. His knowledge of the living world is encyclopedic. That's what we're talking about here, folks. I said they're not average Joes. They're hard, pipe-hitting pseudoscientists. And just destroying the very foundation of this fairy tale. I don't have to do much, do I? Like I said, it's between that and this one. I'll leave it up to you. This is, and by the way, if you want to hear or listen to or read some, how would I say, highbrow type of just destruction of idiot concepts, Richard Lewontin's your guy. So let me tell you that. Type that name into Google and luck out. But I digress. Richard Lewontin, evolutionary biologist, PhD zoology, Alexander Agassiz, research professor, Harvard University. From Lewontin, testing the theory of natural selection in Nature. You see this down here? The most prestigious quote-unquote scientific journal in the entire friggin' world. This is from notice the date. See that down there, folks? 1972. So I don't know, these evotards out here in 2024, they either been freeze-dried or been doing hard time. Because they're idiots. I digress. What does Richard have to say about this situation with natural selection? Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection, in particular, is hopelessly metaphysical. Yeah, it's not starting off too well for you, evotards. And he's an evolutionary biologist. I digress. Let me start over. Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection in particular is hopelessly metaphysical. According to the rules of etiquette laid down in the logic of scientific inquiry, and widely believed in by practicing scientists who bother to think about the problem, the first rule for any scientific hypothesis ought to be that it is at least possible to conceive of an observation that would contradict the theory. For what good is a theory that is guaranteed by its internal logical structure to agree with all conceivable observations, irrespective of the real structure of the world? If scientists are going to use logically unbeatable theories about the world, they might as well give up natural science and take up religion. Yeah, they did, Richard. We're going to see that here in a second. Yet, is that not exactly the situation with regard to Darwinism? Yeah, that it is. Yes. The theory of evolution by natural selection states that changes in the inherited characteristics of species occur, giving rise to differentiation in space and time, because different genetical types leave different numbers of offspring in different environments. Such a theory can never be falsified, for it asserts that some environmental difference created the conditions for natural selection of a new character. It is existentially quantified so that the failure to find the environmental factor proves nothing, except that one has not looked hard enough. Can one really imagine observations about nature that would disprove natural selection as a cause of the difference of bill size? That's the beaks. The theory of natural selection is then revealed as metaphysical rather than scientific. Natural selection explains nothing because it explains everything. Laughing my frigging ass off, Richard. It's about time somebody said it. Can you believe that? This is from one of their high priests. I don't need to do anything. I just give the mic over to Richard. Because Dick is going to provide the death knell. He's not the only one. You already heard Pierre Grasset above. You're going to get another hard pipe hitting one for the supernova. So keep a weathered eye out. Yeah, take that in right there. Unbelievable. We didn't even begin yet.
And I certainly don't think that anybody should be restricted of learning of its explanation for the origin of species.
What? Explanation for the origin of species? What's evolution? And how can an incoherent concept that's not defined explain anything? It doesn't have aerobic respiration, sentience, intelligence, vocal cords, or a tongue. Are you smoking crack? Because that was non sequitur, sunshine. Look how delusional he is. You think you're convincing them 13-year-old girls, Alex? Yeah, you might be. Well, they're going to come up against it as soon as they get a little bit older.
However, as I'm sure you're also aware, not everybody agrees with this opinion, and there's a prominent organization...
Not everyone agrees with what opinion? Why are we in the subjectivity here, Alex? I thought this was science. You know, the objective? Objectivity? Do you know the difference between objective and subjective, and whether we're going to listen to opinions on your fairy tale theory of evolution that's non-defined and the reification fallacy of natural selection? And booger eater.
Within the creationist movement called...
Creationist movement? You mean you're not a creationist, Alex? I think we're going to have to make a stop here. Get this squared away. So, asshat, you're not a creationist? You ipso facto then must believe, and not exhaustive. We went over this before. Ink, paper, and glue molecules can author technical instruction manuals and blueprints. That's DNA. Then construct protein robots. Ribosomes, kinesin, cilia, etc. The laws of thermodynamics, pillars of science, are false. We're going to stop off there. Coming up shortly. The laws of chemistry and biochemistry contain symbolic logic functions. Quantum mechanics is bludgeoned and left for dead. That is, it's false. We're going to be stopping off there too. The law of cause and effect is false. Something can come from nothing naturally. The law of biogenesis is falsified. Life really does come from non-life. Giraffes really do come from bacteria. If given enough time. Yeah, you're a railroad scholar.
Called Answers in Genesis, which recently put out a list of 12 arguments that they think evolutionists should avoid using.
This is what I was talking about, folks. 12 arguments from AIG evolutionists should avoid. Maybe I should put the questions to Answers in Genesis. Answers in Genesis. What is evolution? What is the scientific theory of evolution? Can you post 2 formal scientific hypotheses, then experiments that concretize this monkey into an actual scientific theory? Can you please post the independent and dependent variables in each of the hypotheses and post the null hypothesis that was rejected or falsified for each? AIG, that's you. That's what I said, people. They're just enablers. Just morons. Listen to these questions.
Using. So I thought that we'd take a look through it and see if it holds any merit. And of course, a link to the original article will be in the description down below if you want to go and check it out for yourself, but I'm going to try not to leave anything out here and now. Argument 1. Evolution is a fact.
This is what I'm talking about. Evolution is a fact. That's what they're saying that evolutionists say. Right? So why didn't they put it in here that what is the scientific theory of evolution? Let's end it real quick. don't say define evolution because they're going to come up with change, right? You know, that profound and detailed definition, right? Just say it. What is the scientific theory of evolution? It's over. But no, you got to entertain these Muppets. They're enablers.
When our core beliefs are attacked, it's often easy for humans to retreat to such statements as this. My belief is a fact, and yours is wrong.
See what I'm talking about, folks? This is a nothing burger, the whole thing.
That's exactly why we cannot trust mere human understanding to explain the unobservable past. Emotion and pride get in the way. Evolution is not a fact, no matter how many times evolutionists say it.
It sounds like Answers in Genesis know what evolution is. Maybe I need to call them. Maybe Danny knows what it is. Yeah, maybe we should ask him. You know, Professor Danny?
It is. It's a framework built on assumptions about the past, assumptions that will never have direct, first-hand, observational proof.
What the hell is observational proof? What the hell is that? I mean, when I look at something, I'm looking at my pen. Is that proof of the pen? Who knows?
Now, I've said this before, but just because you can't directly observe an occurrence doesn't mean that
Just because you can't directly observe an occurrence, that sort of has a verb type of scenario, an action. Simply you can't observe the occurrence, then what?
you can't directly observe evidence for that occurrence.
You
Take the
can't
following-
directly, that's non sequitur. Yeah, of course, if you don't directly observe its occurrence, then no, you haven't observed its occurrence. You see, he's a glue sniffer, fungus muncher. Look at it, he's an idiot. Did you actually listen to what you just said? It's pretty stupid. There, intellectual, Mr. Rhodes Scholar.
Following example, imagine you're in the middle of a desert, and stood in the wilderness is a single tree.
We're in the desert, and there's a single tree, folks. What in hell is evolution? Now we get this. We have to go down this incoherent, crazy train. All right, we're in the desert. We're looking at a tree. Okay.
And on the floor is a leaf, the same
The floor. Do they have floors in the desert? How about the ground, Alex?
color as all the leaves on the tree.
So you're seeing a leaf on the ground. Is that an occurrence or is that a concrete noun? I don't think that's an occurrence. Idiot.
Now, you didn't see that leaf fall off the tree,
No, we didn't see that occurrence.
but you can assume that that's what's happened based
That's what's happened. You can assume that way because of what?
on the evidence that you do have available to you.
The evidence that we do have. Well, that's not scientific evidence. You're looking at a concrete noun. So why are you talking about a non sequitur topic? You're in a category here. This isn't science. This isn't asking what is questions. This is asking how and why mechanism questions. You see a leaf on the floor, as you say. That isn't a mechanism. Is it? Asshat. So you're in a category here, non sequitur.
Now, this is inductive reasoning.
No, this is inductive. What kind of reasoning did you use? What was the reasoning? You just looked at the leaf. There's a tree. He's a clown. And he just train wrecked himself. You know why? Because inductive reasoning is never used in science. Let's see who we got here. Oh, by the way, you have to see stuff. Sorry about that. He said that he can observe stuff without observing it. That's not science, Alex. See, the scientific method has 4 steps from the University of Rochester Physics Department. Listen to this, Alex. To step 1, observation and description of a phenomena or a group of phenomena. You see this observation of a phenomena, not a concrete noun, leaf on the floor, dipshit. Yeah, because this is science. What you're talking about isn't. From Krista McClellan, The Nature of Science and the Scientific Method. The first process in the scientific method involves observation of concrete nouns. Is that what it states? Or observation of a phenomena? Getting an echo, aren't we? So, like I said, you're in a complete category error. And what does this have to do with your non-defined fairy tale evolution? And by the way, he thinks it's induction. We're gonna destroy that here in a second. What do they mean by naturalistic observation? Well, it has to be a natural phenomena, so it's a naturalistic observation. From radford.edu, naturalistic observation. Observation of behavior. You see this? Of behavior, not a concrete noun. A concrete noun's not a behavior. Follow that? Probably not. Get with your slobber nurses. Maybe they can adjudicate this for you. But I digress. Observation of a phenomena in more or less a natural setting. Yeah, you'd figure, since it's naturalistic observation, without any attempt to intervene, has two criterion. The situation is not manipulated or controlled by the investigator, and the situation has not been initiated or created by the investigator. And your dumpster fire ends with Niels Bohr. Nobel laureate physics. No phenomenon is a phenomenon, asshat, unless it is an observed phenomenon. That's why these guys are all stating observation of phenomenon. Observation of phenomena. That's the reason why. And with your inductive reasoning, he's going to go to this again, right back to his vomit. Let's deal with this right now. Inductive reasoning. This is from the King Cheese, philosopher of science, Karl Popper, their asshat. Read him and weep. From 1963, like I said, people. Conjectures and Refutations, the Growth of Scientific Knowledge via Wiki. As mentioned in this section, the problem of induction, Popper's response to the problem of induction is simply that induction is actually never used in science. Asshat O'Clowner. Why are you appealing to induction, which is probability or likelihood, right? The reason why he's stating that is because it has nothing to do with it, because hypotheses aren't probability or likelihood based, right? It either is or it ain't. No probability or likelihood involved. In fact, it's a category error. That's why Karl Popper's stating that. Again, Karl Popper in Conjectures and Refutations. Karl Popper, a philosopher of science, sought to solve the problem of induction. He argued that science does not use induction, and induction is in fact a myth. Kablooey, sunshine. Like I said, we're talking about some heavy pipe hitters here, right? Karl Popper's not your Joe Blow. Average Joe Coffee walking down the street there. Yeah? You're finished. We're going to come back to this. He's going to train wreck himself in a dumpster fire, but not the supernova just yet.
But inductive reasoning can be trusted when it's strong enough. This is how the
Inductive reasoning can be trusted, people. Karl Popper just took him out to the woodshed and just battered him senseless. He's just making shit up. This guy is part of the left-wing fuckwit Evotard faction that just makes shit up. Just like what we deal with out here. Right? The anti-flat earthers. Same deal. Like I said, Baltards are just Evotards in Baltards clothing and vice versa.
detective work is done. Also,
detective work is done using induction. Detective work that is forensics and shit. That's not natural science either. So thank you very much. And I wonder how many people get exonerated each year because of forensics. Huh? They would call those false positives, by the way. There, crayon crunching clown. You're toast. That has nothing to do with natural science. It's a complete, utter category error, and it's a train wreck.
Also, of course, it goes without saying that nobody was around to observe the creation myth propagated by answers in Genesis
You think no one was around? Well, the induction wasn't used to establish that creation is absolutely foundational to our existence there, Alex. So you're in another complete category error and a non sequitur fallacy. Let's go ahead and deal with him with this. So creation, like I said, we're going with the heavy pipe hitting pseudosciences. From Alexander Valenkin, Many Worlds in One. It is said that an argument is what convinces a reasonable man, and a proof is what it takes to convince even an unreasonable man. With the proof now in place, cosmologists can no longer hide behind the possibility of a past eternal universe. There is no escape. They have to face the problem of a cosmic beginning. Cosmic skeptic. Your handle. You have to face the problem of a cosmic beginning. That is creation. Beginning creation. Get it? Probably not. Get with your slobber nurses. From Professor Paul Davies. The universe can't have existed forever. We know there must have been an absolute beginning. That's creation. Creationists, a finite time ago. And from the late Stephen Hawking, the beginning of time. This argument about whether or not the universe had a beginning, that's creation, persisted into the 19th and 20th centuries. It was conducted mainly on the basis of theology and philosophy, with little consideration of observational evidence. This may have been reasonable given the notoriously unreliable character of cosmological observations until fairly recently. The cosmologist Sir Arthur Eddington once said, "Don't worry if your theory doesn't agree with observations, because they're probably wrong. But if your theory disagrees with the second law of thermodynamics, it is in bad trouble. In fact, the theory that the universe has existed forever is in serious difficulty with the second law of thermodynamics. The second law states that disorder always increases with time. Like the argument about human progress, it indicates there must have been a beginning. That is creation. This has nothing to do with induction. It's brought about by natural law and deduction." Crayon crunching clown. It goes exactly like this, asshat. The laws of thermodynamics. First law of thermodynamics. One lot. The total amount of matter or energy in the universe is constant. It's stating nature cannot create or destroy matter or energy. Why am I saying nature? Because the first law of thermodynamics is a natural law. It dictates what nature can and cannot do. Get it? Probably not. Second law of thermodynamics. The amount of energy available for work is running out. The universe is moving inexorably to maximum entropy, or the heat death. What I like to term the big chill. So, with these, let's put them together, see what we can come up with. If the total amount of matter or energy is constant, and the amount of usable energy is decreasing, then the universe will end. The heat death, the big chill of the universe. Ergo, it had a beginning. Creation. That's why those fine folks, the hard pipe-hitting pseudoscientists above, said there had to be a beginning, Alex. And not the Big Bang pseudoscience train wreck. So, since the first law, one lot, states that nature cannot create or destroy matter or energy, and since the universe had a beginning, that's the second law of thermodynamics, and since there are only two choices, nature versus intelligent design for the cause of that beginning, and since matter or nature can't pre-exist before its existence, then poof itself into existence, before that poof itself from nothing into pre-existence, therefore a creator and creation, asshat. Again, next block of instruction, how to sit down, then point at a friggin' horse.
Either. And look, evolution, like any other fact of nature,
Evolution, like every other fact of nature. Evolution? What the hell is that? Like every other fact of nature, he just groups the non-defined moron fantasy in with every other fact of nature. Like what other facts of nature, Alex?
Nature is a scientific fact.
It's a scientific fact, people. Brought to you by induction, which doesn't use science.
Meaning that it's based upon inductive reasoning.
Told you!
And is
It's a scientific fact based on inductive reasoning. I think we got some problems here. Again, Karl Popper. Induction is actually never used in science. And science does not use induction. Induction is, in fact, a myth. So, I don't know. See, I could stop right here, right, and show some mercy, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just showing you how much of an ass clown, Dunning-Kruger, delusional half-wit is making himself out to be here, speaking confidently and contradicting himself over and over and over again with the pseudoscience priests. His pseudoscience priests, by the way. He's just making shit up. Doofus. You haven't seen anything yet.
Is falsifiable. It's just that the likelihood of it being falsified is minuscule.
The likelihood of inductive reasoning, which is likelihood and probability, is not likely. That's what Insidious is saying, but he doesn't know what induction means. He's an abject moron, folks.
For instance, if I were to take this book and hold it here, I'm pretty sure that if I let go, this is going to fall to the ground.
That's it. This is my gift to you. He's gonna deal us a Neil smoking deGrasse Tyson train wreck. You know he's gonna do it, right? There he goes. Oh boy, let's get the whole thing. Sorry for the interruption, folks. You know I had to stop it right there. Let's go back and let's let him torpedo himself.
Book and hold it here, I'm pretty sure that if I let go, this is going to fall to the ground. Now, I can't be certain of this because, of course, I can't see the future, but based on inductive reasoning... And
not based on inductive reasoning. There's no reasoning here. It's based on your experience, right? Of solid things in an air medium will fall to the ground. What type of reasoning have you just done? Nothing. You just picked up a book and you're going to drop it. There's no reasoning here. That's what I'm saying. He's a retard. Dunning-Kruger delusional retard. All over. Look at him. And I didn't notice this. Christopher Hitchens. You want to talk about a brain-dead idiot. And all these evotards worship him. Right? We ought to get into some Christopher Hitchens. Somebody remind me of that. But I digress. You know what he's going to do, folks.
And things that I've seen in the past, I can assume that it's going to happen again. And that's science.
That's science! Ladies and gentlemen, I present Asshat O'Clowner with his induction science of dropping a book. I'd like to know what the hypothesis was. Oh, boy. I can only imagine what's going on out there. You guys are probably not even paying attention to this. You're probably on another topic in chat, aren't you? If I go back here and see another topic in chat, I'll tell you what. I'm going to grab you by the nape of the neck. Nah, I'm only kidding. Let's continue.
Argument 2. Only the uneducated reject evolution.
Well, answers in Genesis. What are they rejecting? Could you define it? And so we know what's being rejected here? Nah, I didn't think so.
Besides the arrogance of such statements, this argument has no footing and should be cast off. Mainly, those who make this claim usually define educated people as those who accept evolution.
Yeah, those educated people who accept this undefined fairy tale. My word.
Anyone who disagrees fails the test. No.
Yep, right in. You see the disagrees? Write in subjectivity. Answers in Genesis. You got to be embarrassed for yourself. I know you're trying to paint an incoherent light on evolutionists, but you are doing that to a degree, but to a larger degree, you're making yourself look like ass clowns. Answers in Genesis. You're doing it to yourselves.
No matter what their background. E.g., if we follow this ideology, Isaac Newton must have been uneducated. The problem with the logic being presented here is that
there wasn't any logic being presented here. You don't know what logic is. We've already established that over the past 3 shows and here today.
education is usually focused, meaning you can be incredibly intelligent and incredibly educated, just not specifically, say, in evolutionary biology.
Evolutionary biology, what's that? Not going to get into that. Oh, we're going to get it by one of their hard pipe-hitting priests. Just you wait. It's going to be part of the supernova.
For instance, I could meet someone who's incredibly well-read in poetry and say, well, what do you think about evolution? And
yeah, what do they think about evolution? What's evolution? If they had any intelligence, they would say, well, what the hell is evolution? Wouldn't they, Alex?
they might say, well, I don't really know. I don't believe
Yeah, you don't really know. You can't believe in something that's not defined, Alex.
in it. I haven't seen the evidence.
No, not see, right to the evidence, folks. You see what I'm talking about? I haven't seen the evidence for the thing that you haven't defined yet. See that? Yeah, that was subtle. Yeah, I got your back.
And that makes perfect sense.
No, it doesn't make perfect sense because he didn't ask you what evolution was, you dumbass cracker.
Reason to know about these things, and so it makes sense for you to be on the fence. That doesn't mean you're uneducated, it just means you're uneducated in evolution.
And uneducated in evolution? What the hell is evolution? Then we'll figure out whether we're educated or uneducated in it, right? Makes sense? You'd think.
And in fact, I'd say it's less accurate to say that it's those who disbelieve in evolution that are uneducated.
What's evolution? How can we disbelieve in something that hasn't been defined yet?
But rather the people who are educated in evolution.
The people who are educated in evolution, what?
Almost unanimously believe in it.
They almost unanimously believe in it. So the people who are educated in fairy tale evolution that's non-defined, they accept it without evidence unanimously. That's what he just said. I just translated it for you. Clown.
And furthermore, when you do find that rare combination of people who both do have some kind of education in evolution.
Uh-oh, look out. Here comes a stereotype fallacy. Let's get the whole thing. That rare type that's actually educated. Yeah. Alex, it's going to be your ass.
Furthermore, when you do find that rare combination of people who both do have some kind of education in evolutionary biology, but still deny it, they almost always share something in common, and this is invariably some kind of religious presupposition.
Also, do they? Some type of religious presupposition. A little shot across the bow for those people who deny your fairy tale fuckwit evolution that's non-defined. Huh? That even are educated in the topic. So you're going to paint them with that brush. Little poisoning of the well fallacy there, huh? Yeah. You're going to identify that group, are you, Alex? Let's see if you're in the vicinity. They usually have a religious bias. Is that what he said? Well, when you know that actual evolution that's undefined is a friggin' religion. First off the bat, Professor Michael Ruse, a philosopher of biology, whatever in the flying Fukuyama that is, has debated creationist ID proponents Stephen Meyer, William Dembski, and Professor Dwayne Gish, and others on the circuit for 40 years. Ruse was a key witness for the plaintiff for the landmark and nationally followed case McLean v. Arkansas in 1981, where creation science in the classroom was being argued. So he's not your average Joe, Evotard. He's one of your hard pipe-hitting pseudoscience priests. Let's see what he has to say about this religion. Professor Michael Ruse, National Post in 2000. Evolution is promoted, whatever that is, by its practitioners as more than mere science. Evolution is promulgated as an ideology, a secular religion. Is that the one you were talking about, Alex? A full-fledged alternative to Christianity with meaning and morality. I am an ardent evolutionist and an ex-Christian, but I must admit that in this one complaint, and Mr. Gish is but one of many to make it, the literalists are absolutely right. Evolution is a religion. This was true of evolution in the beginning, and it is true of evolution still today. So, Alex, is that the religion they were predisposed to this religion? Is that what you're talking about? You know, those people you stereotyped. They're religious. Yeah, that must be the religion. Let's go to the National Center for Science Education. Let's see what they have to say on the matter. And they're using people trying to promote the definition of allele frequency. This, I bet you he doesn't even know what it is. But anyway, the last part of this is very intriguing. Let's see if it lines up with what Alex just said. The allele frequency definition, if adequate, would leave us unsatisfied that evolution really had been explained. Geneticists have observed in small scale a general resistance of the molecular components of the genome to change Sorry, folks. Let me start that again. Geneticists have observed in small scale a general resistance of the molecular components of the genome to change from the norm or wild type. For this reason, if any biologist were to be an anti-evolutionist, this is now we're in it. These are the people Alex we're talking about. Like educated people in the topic or around the topic that are not evolutionists. He said they were religious. Let's see what the Centers for Science Education said that they were. For this reason, if any biologist were to be an anti-evolutionist, it would typically be one who works at the molecular level, such as a molecular geneticist or biochemist, Alex. What do you got to say about that? You clown of an idiot dumb fuck. And hi there, pretender clown asshat. I got you by the friggin' short hairs. And psst, I'm crushing your feebly pathetic pistachios, sunshine. How you like me now, clown? You're about to piss me off. That's not a good thing. Friggin' weasel. I can see it in your eyes.
So I simply must pick you up on your Isaac Newton example. Isaac Newton died.
Isaac Newton wasn't a scientist. He has never even attempted to formulate a single scientific hypothesis, let alone a scientific theory. So what does this have to do with anything? Oh, that's right. Answers in Genesis brought it up. My word.
Died in 1727, which is over 100 years before Charles Darwin published The Origin of Species.
Origin of Species? That wasn't what he published? You got a big problem here, son. He doesn't even know the damn title. From the HMS Beagle Bum Sniffer, Charlie, this is the title. On the Origin of Species by means of natural selection. We already took that to the woodshed. Or, what? Or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. We have some issues here. Number one, species don't have origins, save for by means of man-made convention, asshat. You see, species was first coined by Aristotle circa 350 BC and has at least 150 different definitions till present day. That man-made convention that identifies species is called the taxonomic classification system, by the way. Number two, natural selection. We've already dealt this a death blow so many times. I have to do this for comprehensiveness, folks. Natural selection is a textbook reification fallacy. Reification fallacies are not mechanisms. You see that by means of for your fairy tale? By means, that's a mechanism. Or that's a mechanism. So reification fallacies are not mechanisms of man-made conventions. You see how non sequitur this is on many different levels? And number 3, favored races, Charlie? Is that the favored races of boa constrictors? You think? And number 4, or? You're lucky I don't have the soundboard. Let's think about this for a second. So, or is like either or? I don't know. In formal English in Britain, do they have a different definition of or? Isn't or like 2 different choices? So we have a multiple choice test on the title for The Origin of Species by Charlie. It's either this, On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. It's not that because I just dealt that so many death blows. Wyatt Earp is blushing. Or, so it has to be this. Just this. Preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. I don't think that's scientific. So, down goes asshat again. Like I said, these are small, minor train wrecks, but they're pretty massive train wrecks. Dumpster fires. We're not at the supernova just yet, but I think she's getting close. I'm not even going to peek.
He would have absolutely no reason to know anything about evolution by
That's evolution. What's that? So you're saying since Isaac Newton was born like at least 100 years or died 100 years before the theory of evolution, whatever the fuck that is, came out by means of a reification fallacy, that Isaac Newton wouldn't know that. Your piercing intellect is crushing us.
by natural selection. Okay, we judge people's intelligence by the standards of the time. Imagine.
No, we don't. That's not how you judge intelligence, you fucking idiot. You judge a person's intelligence by their ability to reason. That's how intelligence is assessed. Duh. Not by time, clown.
Imagine I were to say,
or where they are in time, idiot.
Albert Einstein was so stupid, he couldn't even name who the 42nd president of the United States was.
What in the world is going on here, people? Why would you even say that? I mean, the 13-year-old girls already know this, Alex. You're not impressing them that much. I mean, do you think you're intelligent by stating something like this? He does. Look at him. Your parents must be prouder than game roosters. Idiot.
Well, of course he couldn't, because Albert Einstein died when Bill Clinton was
Shut up
8 years old.
before I
This
slap
is a
you.
complete red herring. Argument
It's not a
3.
red herring. That's not a red herring. He doesn't know what logical fallacies are. That's not a red herring. It's a non sequitur fallacy. The conclusion didn't follow from the premise. Duh. Fuckwit.
Overwhelming evidence in all fields of science supports evolution.
Over what? This is, like I said, this is not Alex. This is AIG putting this shit out.
The irony, of course, is that for centuries prior to Darwin's publication of On the Origin of Species,
No, not the On the Origin. See, Answers in Genesis isn't even given the full title. But why would that be? I would like to know the answer to that question. That's not the title of the book. I just gave you the title. Anyone can look it up. What is this, just for brevity's sake? AIG? They're about to piss me off. Wow, that's happened a long time ago.
the majority of scientists found the opposite to be true.
Scientists? Why are scientists in here? What's evolution? What is the scientific theory of evolution? Is AIG stating or impugning or giving you Evotarge credit for this being some type of science? Sounds like it.
The evidence supported creation.
Why is creation? Look at this, folks. How many times have you heard evotards state that there is no? It's a false dichotomy. Creation and evolution have nothing to do with each other, even though the evolution's undefined. You guys are following what I'm saying. Why is AIG given it? Why is the juxtaposition put here? It makes no sense. Wonder if Alex is going to catch this. Let's see.
What changed? Not the evidence. Rather, the starting point changed, i.e. moving from the Bible, God's word, to humanism, man's word. Oh, so what you're saying is that people adapted their worldview based on...
He didn't catch it. He didn't catch it. Unbelievable.
Evidence which contradicted their pre-existing beliefs.
Pre-existing belief. Creation's not a belief. I just went through it. It's based on deductive reasoning from natural law. Simple. And quantum mechanics, but you know what? I might bust that out just to bust your dumb ass finally. Right? I'm not going to do it now, though. But notice, folks, that he didn't catch the false dichotomy that answers in Genesis superimposed on him. He's just a moron. That's it.
God, how irrational. Look, I used to believe in the existence of Father Christmas.
Father, you used to believe in Father, well, at least Father Christmas has been defined and can be defined. Huh? That's a lot more than what you got, sunshine.
Or Santa Claus. And the evidence was right there. There
The evidence of Santa Claus was right there. What was the evidence for Santa Claus?
were presents under the tree.
That's not Santa Claus. That's presents under the tree. You glue-sniffing fungus muncher. That's how stupid he is, man. There's no help. There is no help for this. Delusional Dunning-Kruger nightmare of a dumb fuck.
But I, grew out of that.
You did. You grew out of that. Like I said, at least the Father Christmas and Santa Claus is defined. That's 90% more what you got, idiot.
In science, new evidence always supersedes...
In science, new evidence what? Supersedes what?
old ideas.
It supersedes old ideas. This clown wouldn't know what natural science was if it climbed up his arse and started kicking footballs wrapped in Carolina Reaper lace concertina wire. That statement was abject stupidity. Let's hear it again.
Out of that. In science, new evidence always supersedes old ideas.
So we're comparing evidence, which he doesn't know what scientific evidence. He's already demonstrated that, and it's competing. That evidence is competing with ideas. Oh boy, Alex. Thank you very much, by the way.
If the two are contradictory.
If the two are contradictory, the ideas versus the new evidence. Idiot.
And I would love to see some overwhelming evidence to support your worldview that doesn't rely on the Bible.
Your Huckleberry. Not a problem. I got 4 in here. I'll go to number 2. Actual scientific proof, Alex. That's the difference between me and you. You're a village idiot, and I can support what I say in spades. You following? Listen up. Quantum mechanics, observe a phenomena. Photons, elementary particles, atoms, molecules exhibit both wave-like and particle behavior. The alternative hypothesis. If the which path information is known or can be known, then we will observe wave function collapse. That means no interference or matter existing. The independent variable is the known versus unknown paths. Is already in the experimental setup. The dependent variable, matter existing. The null hypothesis, if the which path information is known or can be known, then we will not observe wave function collapse, i.e. interference. That is no matter. C, the experiment. Which one of the thousands, without exception, would you like, asshat? Let's start off with Zhao Sung Ma et al. 2013 quantum erasure with a causally disconnected choice from the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. The presence of path information anywhere in the universe is sufficient to prohibit any possibility of interference. It is irrelevant whether a future observer might decide to acquire it. The mere possibility is enough. Therefore, asshat, the lack of which path information anywhere in the universe is sufficient enough to prohibit any possibility of wave function collapse, i.e., no matter. You see this little term right here, information? I can just post this and you're dead. You are D-E-D dead. Because information is the key to quantum mechanics. Information is the key to genetics. Information is the bedrock foundation of our reality, and you must deny the very existence of it because it has neither matter nor energy. How you like that? Huh? How you like them apples? Number 2, Kim et al., a delayed choice quantum eraser. Physical review letters. The authors show not only that knowledge of the which path information solely collapses the wave function, but can accurately predict future actions of wave-like and particle behavior after the signal photon has registered and before its twin idler has arrived. That is, quantum mechanical phenomena transcend time and space. That deals a death blow to Einstein. That's why quantum mechanics killed Einstein. But I digress. See also Walborn in 2002 and Scarcelli in 2005. In conclusion, this experiment unequivocally validates A, knowledge or knowing the which path information alone causes wave function collapse. B, decoherence, physical interaction with measuring devices does not cause wave function collapse, i.e., it's incoherent. And C, like I said, quantum mechanical phenomena transcend time and space, i.e., space-time has no meaning in quantum mechanics or reality. Like I said, special note, C pummels the mytho-mathematical philosopher with a calculator, Einstein, that rivals Darwin into the incoherent oblivion. Ergo, matter that exists in our reality doesn't exist without first a knower or the existence of the which path information. Simple as that. There's no other way around these experiments. They've known this for years. That matter is derivative, the consequent consciousness, knowledge, or information is the necessary antecedent, because you have to have consciousness to identify information, and you don't have information without consciousness. It's a never-ending feedback loop. I've got many other fatal daggers, but I think I made my point, you glue-sniffing fungus muncher. Oops. I'm not leaving yet.
Show me that, and then maybe you...
I just showed you that in spades. I can show it to you all day. I can continue down the list, but you won't understand it because you're a moron.
may have a point. Argument...
Yeah, I got a friggin' point. We're at the supernova. Alert! Alert! Supernova.
4. Doubting evolution is like doubting gravity. Why does this argument fail? We'll show you. Take a pencil or a pen, hold it in the air, then drop it to the floor. That's gravity.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not Alex stating this. This is coming from Answers in Genesis. Just to make sure, I know you guys can fog a mirror, but just everyone make sure they understand that these arguments are superimposed on evolutionists. This is AIG, Answers in Genesis. Okay?
Next, make a single-celled organism, like an amoeba, and turn it into a goat. Go ahead, we'll wait.
Is that evolution? Is turning an amoeba into a goat evolution? Don't know, because it's never been defined yet, right?
No? As you can see, there's a fundamental difference between operational science...
Operational science doesn't exist. It's a phrase that they made up at Answers in Genesis. There's only natural science. That's all there is.
which can be tested through repeatable experimentation, and historical science, which cannot.
Uh-oh. Somebody get ready for taps. It's right around the corner. I'm going to play it a number of times so there's no doubt about what he says. Okay?
Okay, a few things here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something... Okay, a few things here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something that happened in the past and that we are... Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something that... A few things here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something that... A few things here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something that happened in the...
Okay. Does everyone get the message that evolution is not historical science? Or you got... I don't think it's clear.
Here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something that... A few things here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something that happened in the... Here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something that...
Yeah, okay, I'll stop. So, I think everyone's got the picture that evolution is not historical science. I think we got that picture. From hard pipe-hitting evolutionary biologist, one of the fathers of 20th century evolution theory, with Richard Lewontin and Theodosius Dobzhansky, without a doubt. This is Ernst Mayr. Even Stephen Jay Gould, another hard pipe hitter. He's the one that jointly came up with punctuated equilibrium, if you don't know who Stephen Jay Gould is. Stephen Jay Gould, statement concerning Ernst Mayr. Ernst Mayr, the world's greatest living evolutionary biologist. Yeah? Does everyone get the picture? This is Ernst Mayr, Darwin's Influence on Modern Thought, Scientific American, 2009. Have you forgotten what... I think you may have forgotten what Alex said. Let's go through that again.
Okay, a few things here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not... Okay, a few things here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something that... A few things here. Firstly, evolution is not historical science. Okay, it's not something that happened...
Do you guys remember that? Evolution is not historical science. You guys got that? From Ernst Mayr. Darwin introduced historicity into science. Evolutionary biology, in contrast with physics and chemistry, is historical science. What have we got here, folks? Like I said in the beginning, this is... Oh, by the way, it just went supernova on your dumbass asshat O'Clowner. See, this is the left-wing fuckwit Evotard faction that just makes shit up. And you're making shit up just cost you your ass. By Ernst Mayr. You gotta love it. So, bye-bye now, asshat O'Clowner. You're finished. Now let's deal with this. Just to dot all the T's and cross the I's. This is very interesting statements here. From Ernst Mayr. Darwin introduced historicity into science. Evolutionary biology, in contrast with physics and chemistry, is historical science. The evolutionist attempts to explain events and processes that have already taken place. Laws and experiments are inappropriate techniques for the explication of such events and processes. Instead, in place of laws and experiments, one constructs a historical narrative consisting of a tentative reconstruction of the particular scenario that led to the events one is trying to explain. Yes, if that sounds like circular reasoning, you're right on the button. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is fairy tale fuckwit evolution for you. Given to you by the hard, pipe-hitting, evotard priests. They just come right out and tell you. Yeah. What is going on? We in Shangri-La or something. That's great, Ernst. Science without experiments. They are inappropriate. Must be a new type of science. Welcome to a pseudoscience fairy tale, an argument from complete ignorance fallacy, just so story, hey Alex, historical narrative, and a cherry on top, begging the question fallacy on nuclear steroids. This one, when I just stated, or he stated, I repeated. One constructs a historical narrative consisting of a tentative reconstruction of the particular scenario that led to the events one is trying to explain. That's a highly articulate way of a textbook circular reasoning fallacy. Good job, Ernst. Appreciate you. Thanks. Number 2, how can you have real scientific theories without experiments when, from chemistryabot.com, a scientific theory summarizes a hypothesis or group of hypotheses that have been supported with repeated testing? That's going to be a problem. From quarks to quasars, scientific theory consists of one or more hypotheses that have been supported with repeated testing. But Ernst just said that experiments are inappropriate. So how do we have a theory? Must be, like I said, must be a new type of science, a new type of theory. Back to the University of Rochester physics labs. Let's confirm this trilogy. A scientific theory represents a hypothesis or group of related hypotheses which has been confirmed through repeated experimental tests. Again, how can you have a scientific theory which purportedly, allegedly, is evolution, which hasn't been defined, and it hasn't gone through any experiments? How can it be a theory, let alone defining the monkey? It can't. The law of identity violation. And a paradox. Simple. And number 3, there has never been and never will be scientific laws. We do have natural laws. These never, ever enter the scientific method. Non sequitur category error. And here's the coup de grace. The end. Alrighty then. Look how far have I gone here. Or how long have I gone here? Look at hour and 30 minutes. You guys better be behaving out there. I'll tell you that much. All right, we got a super chat. 1. All right, I'm over fucking whelmed. Supersonic, Supernatural, Super Mario, Superstar, Super Glue. How many inductions are in a curvilinear radius? Nice touch, Theo. Nice touch. No, I'm not telling you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Yeah. Guess we could hang out for a couple minutes. It really didn't seem that long, did it? Flatsy. I didn't think so. It's been an hour and a half. I'm looking at the time down here on OBS. All right, it's an hour, 29 minutes, and 10 seconds. That's all I got for you folks, really. Just to expose, and I've already done it, the Asado Clowner. It's very easy. I just let him speak. I just wanted to show everyone that he is contradicting his hard-hitting pseudoscience priests. Pipe hitters, man. Not your every day of the Joe Snuffies. I mean, these are the creme de la creme. And this fairy tale idiot evolution. We're in 2024. Most of this stuff, like I said, I've identified it through the last 3 treatments, is back in the 70s. I don't know what the people. Hello, McFly. What are you doing? You just letting other people intimidate you or something? Like I said, just go back to the beginning. I'm going to do that again because this is very important. Like I said, if you wanted to get into this genre, or if you run into somebody and just, because every once in a while, when you're on these idiot ball-tard forums or voice chats, evolution will come up, right? And so not to be caught unawares, I mean, just roll out my red carpet. There it is. It's right there for you. Yep, no problem. I think we got all of them. It's down to DL. We lost the null hypothesis. I guess the important part is the part down here. There, right in here. That's what you need. Like I said, you can bring the most prestigious evolutionary biologists to their friggin' knees within seconds. Now, don't let them red herring fallacy away to their fairy tale evidences that they haven't defined which they're coming from. Don't let them do that. If you do, then you deserve what you get, right? Have them define what it is first that they're providing evidence for. Makes sense, right? If you walk into a courthouse and you say, "Judge, I'm here to define a banana," but you don't have a banana and you don't define it, but here's my evidence. He's going to start, there's going to be objections everywhere, right? Oh, what the hell are you talking about first? Then provide your evidence. Makes sense? I mean, how can people be Jedi mind tricked for so long with this idiotic second grade retard trick? Like I told you, if you get bored, go ahead and pull up, just type into YouTube evolution. You're going to get thousands of hits for debates and presentations and what they will never, ever define. Now, they might define it as change, but they'll never, ever post the scientific theory of evolution. Never. Never happened. I've never seen it. Not once. You know why? Remember what I told you. You know why? Yeah, it doesn't fucking exist. That's why. And that's the end of it. Then you could just laugh in their face. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we'll finish this up. I don't know what the next treatment will be. I don't know if I want to go with Asshat O'Connor again. There's just so much I could put up with, right? I'll maybe find a new Evotard. Or it might be Alex. I don't know. Let me think about it. But I'll get back with you. It shouldn't be too long. There is no BALLBUSTERS this week. However, there is going to be, this is the last word I got from Nathan, is that the 10-hour live show, or the show that was recorded the other day, will be running at 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on his channel this Saturday. So it's a full 10 hours, dudes. Right? And that's the last word that I got from him. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot out of this presentation this time. I kind of kept the soundboard out of it so you could get a little more substance. I kind of missed the soundboard. I don't miss trying to find, the sounds that I want. I didn't miss that. I'll tell you that. Again, I hope you got a lot out of it. I'll catch you on the flip side. QE out.
Because you have the positive claim.
My reason, all claims are positive.
You unlock this door with the key
To retardation.
Beyond it is another dimension. You're moving into a land of
Bullshittery.
You've just crossed over into
The numpty zone.
My reasoning is, so saying the Earth isn't a globe, that's a positive claim.
That's why I
Jay-
don't think you guys fully understand what you're talking about when you say the black swan disproves the globe Earth. Because even if it did prove something, all it does is prove that the R value that we use to make our calculations is incorrect.
At best, what you have done, if that was all correct, at best you would have disproved the radius of the Earth.
Oh!